Okay, so let's look now at C2, the second cervical vertebra, which is atypical, and this is called the axis. Now you can see we're looking at the anterior view of the axis here, so we're looking at it in the anatomical position, looking straight on. You can see that it has this upwards projection, this blunt process called the dens or the odontoid process, often called the peg by radiographers. The dens, on its anterior surface, we can see that smooth, round articular facet, which will articulate with the small facet on the posterior aspect of the anterior arch of C1. Now the superior articular facets, and we can see them there either side of the dens, either side of the upward projection, on the lateral side of the upper surface of the body and adjoining the pedicle, and those lateral superior articular processes carry the superior articular facet, and we can see them there, those rounded facets either side of the dens of the peg, highlighted there in white, and they face upwards and laterally. Now the inferior articular facets, and there they are again, those rounded areas highlighted in white here, face downwards and forwards, as in a typical cervical vertebra. They lie more posteriorly than the superior articular facets. So if we bring them into a lateral projection, you can see that the inferior articular facets actually are more posterior than the superior articular facets. The spinous process of C2 is short and bifid. So those are the key features of C2, the odontoid peg, the articular surface on the odontoid peg, the superior articular facets, and the inferior articular facets are slightly malaligned. So the superior articular facets are more anterior to the posterior articular facets. But those are the key features of the cervical vertebra number 2, or the dens or the odontoid process. The other features that we need to have a look at, and I can see if we can go back and pick up cervical vertebra number 7 and see if we can pick that one up individually. There are some features of 7 which again makes it an atypical vertebra. The spinous process of C7 differs in a number. The cervical vertebra number 7 differs in a number of ways from other cervical vertebra, and one of those features, one of the ways in which it differs from the other cervical vertebra, is the spinous process. It's longer and typically is not bifid. It doesn't end in a two-prong, a bifid process, and it often ends in a roughened tubercle. The transverse process has a larger posterior root, and they have no anterior tubercles. And the transverse foramina is small, and the vertebral artery does not pass through it. So those are the different features of C7. C7 has a longer spinous process. The transverse process have a posterior root and no anterior tubercle. And the transverse foramina is small, and the vertebral artery does not pass through C7.